Hey guys, Dan here with special guest Tim over Zoom. Hello, Tim.
Hi, everybody.
This is, of course, Dan Does Disney. Tim joins for all of the sort of, I don't know, less than classic movies.
I guess,
I'm
but
not sure what you would call it.
we've had some
Yeah,
good ones.
you've done a lot of the animated ones, but not like the classic ones. Because I'm doing those with Joe. But you said, look, whatever other ones there are, I'll do. So
Yep.
this time we have the story of Robin Hood, which its full name is The Story of Robin Hood and His Merry Men, but they didn't even put that whole thing on the package, but that's the name of it. And this is another one. You pointed this out when we did So Dear to My Heart, I think. This has the Wonderful World of Disney insignia from the TV show on top of the DVD. But this was indeed a theatrically released movie. I'm not sure what the distinction is there, but
I think I was reading somewhere about this, and I think the only way to get this movie is through the Disney Movie Club.
yes,
So
if you're looking for it on DVD, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's the distinction. Things that are only released on DVD as an exclusive to the Disney Movie Club get that logo on it. It does open with like a 1 minute. I think So Dear to My Heart had this too. It opens with like a 1 minute montage of, I guess, what the theme of the Disneyland show was, or the Wonderful World of Disney was back in the day. Because it shows like clips of movies, and then it also shows like rides from Disneyland and stuff. I don't know, but anyway, this DVD is as bare bones as it gets. There's a movie on here. That's about it. So there won't be too much to talk about towards the end of the show with the bonus features. But there really isn't that much to talk about anyway with this, with the lead up to this, until we get to the movie itself.
Yeah, I couldn't find any information about it.
Yeah, even like, on some of these more rare movies, I go outside the scope of, the traditional Wikipedia and IMDb and look up some like Disney fan sites and Disney wikis and all of that. And even that, there wasn't really a whole lot about the production of this movie. So, we're going to talk about what we know about it, and then we'll talk about the movie itself. But this is the 1952 version, obviously, decades before the animated classic that we'll review on the show, I don't know, in 5 years or something. But this is the 52 original. It made $2.1 million at the box office. I couldn't find any data about how much it was made for. So I assume it turned a profit. I don't know. The Disney live action movies were doing all right. And as we talked about last time during Treasure Island, the war effort forced Disney to sort of open up filming in England, and so he thought Robin Hood is a perfect fit. It takes place in England, and in fact, this is one of the few Robin Hood films or TV shows, I guess, for that matter, to actually film in the real Sherwood Forest for parts of it. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's all the information that I found.
Yes, that I thought was interesting. It didn't give me a list of the other ones that were, because it doesn't say it's the only one. It just says one of the few. But this was the first of 4 Disney movies directed by Ken Anakin, who went on to do one that we'll be reviewing soon. Something about the rose, So Red the Rose, or something like that.
Sword in the Rose.
Sword in the Rose. Yeah, I think is that our next one.
Yeah, it's Sword. Sword Rose. That's our next one. The next one that you're doing is Peter Pan.
It's Peter Pan, yeah, with Merlin. So okay, so he directed this. He directed our next one, and then he directed Swiss Family Robinson as well, which wasn't for like another decade. So, so we'll see more from him, throughout. But
yeah, I looked at his career, and it looks like he did a lot of family movie adventures. I think he did Pippi Longstocking later. Then something super late. I forget what it was, but it was like another Disney movie, like super late in his career.
It might have been Swiss Family Robinson, because that was almost 20 years after this.
I think it was even later.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Yeah, I thought Pippi Longstocking was one of the last ones he did before he died. Let me see here. Yeah. Oh, that's the New Adventures of Pippi Longstocking in 1988. So yeah, all right, that was late.
And something in the 90s he did. No?
Yeah, Genghis Khan, but it was unfinished. He died, I guess, while they were making.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the other Disney one is. Paper Tiger, The Pirate, Call of the Wild. Oh, he did the original Call of the Wild. Okay.
Oh yeah.
We had the remake of that with Harrison Ford. All right. Well, anyway, so the 1938 Adventures of Robin Hood is largely what this is based on. Obviously, the book as well, but certain scenes were literally just like lifted directly from the Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn. We were talking yesterday or the day before about the Lion King remake and how it's the shot for shot remake. Well, a couple of these like fight sequences were exactly what happened in the Errol Flynn version of Adventures. So, obviously the influence was there for this. Also, something I didn't realize when I watched it, but reading up on it, it makes me respect this movie actually a lot more. Because I thought it was, well, we'll, I guess, get to what I thought about the movie on the whole. But compared to some of the other Robin Hoods, I didn't think it was all that great. But so Walt purposely excluded the parts in the novel and the original movies where Robin became an outlaw because he wanted it to be more of an allegory for the Cold War and the communism, because that, like the McCarthyism and the blacklisting and stuff, had just started a couple of years before that while this was in production. So he wanted it to really be like a tale of capitalism and communism and all of this stuff, which is super subtle because I certainly didn't pick up on it while watching it. But at the time, maybe it was more, prevalent to parents that were going through a lot of, the issues they were talking about. So I thought that was very interesting, because usually Disney does not do politics or any of that sort of like, real world kind of stuff. We talked a little bit in one of the ones I always forget about, the religion. I know they did one of the shorts.
So Dear to My Heart had the religious themes too.
That's what it was. Yeah. So Dear to My Heart. And then, the short that we had talked about as well. And I think Make My Music was a bit really Johnny Appleseed. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. It made me sort of view the movie a little bit differently from when I watched it. But other than that, that's really all I found about the production and the making of this movie. So,
become an outlaw. I mean, I just think they didn't really stress it that much.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's in the DNA of the character, but in terms of, I think, the book, and some of the earlier film adaptations made it a little more, I don't know, clear cut or whatever, that he was definitely maybe not on the side of good all the time or whatever. But all right, what do you think of this? I mean, there's not much to talk about synopsis wise, I guess, but
Okay, so the story of Robin Hood and his merry men is the telling of the legend of Robin Hood, and every telling of Robin Hood is slightly different. So this one has a few unique touches. First off, his name prior to becoming the outlaw known as Robin Hood is Robin Fitzooth, who, along with his father Hugh, serves the Earl of Huntingdon, who is the father of Maid Marian. The Earl leaves for the Crusade with King Richard. Marian goes to England with the Queen, and Prince John now rules the land with the help of Sheriff of Nottingham. Robin's father is murdered by one of the sheriff's men, and Robin takes up the life of an outlaw, hiding in Sheriff Forest, where he forms his group of merry men who help the people who are being overtaxed by Prince John and the Sheriff of Nottingham. And maybe along the way, he'll steal the heart of Maid Marian as well.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. I mean, how many of the Robin Hood films have you seen?
I don't think I've seen all of the Errol Flynn version. I've seen part. I have seen the Kevin Costner one. I've seen the other animated Fox Robin Hood Disney one.
Okay.
I saw the new Jamie Foxx.
Taron Egerton.
Yeah, was that called just Hood? No, they actually did change it to Robin Hood. I think
It was called Robin Hood. Yeah, yeah. Originally, it was called.
I think it was just called Hood in the.
Okay.
And then I think I've seen all of the Russell Crowe Robin Hood as well.
Okay, so I've seen all of those except I flip flop with you on the Disney animated and the Errol Flynn version. The Errol Flynn version I've seen all of, loved it, A+. The animated one I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing of, but like it was on at a party one time, and so it was like on, so I caught bits and pieces of it, but I've never sat down and watched that whole thing. So all right, so let's talk about how this one holds up. Compared to those, it's impossible kind of not to compare it to the other ones, I guess.
This one I thought took the unique stand. Like, I don't know if the Errol Flynn one, but the fact that Robin Hood saw his father murdered right in front of him, I don't think any of the other versions that I have had that. Because usually, because Prince of Thieves, I also saw Robin Hood Men in Tights.
I figured, yeah.
So Prince of Thieves and all those usually have Robin away in the Crusades, and while he's at the Crusades, that's when his father dies, and that's when everything goes to crap in Nottingham while he's away. Where this one, he kind of is there.
Yeah, it's been probably about 6 years since I saw that one, but I feel like that was also not in that version.
Yeah, because I try to find out if Hugh Fitzsuit, his father, was actually a real character from anything, and the only thing it came up with was for this movie. So I think they made up that character as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So you did do some research.
Yeah, I try to find because I mean Robin is usually Robin of Locksley, and in this one he doesn't become Robin of Locksley until later.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a unique touch to it. I know they stole the Little John fight scene directly from Errol Flynn version, and then Prince of Thieves stole that as well. I mean, I feel like Errol Flynn kind of made that, and now everybody thinks that's part of the folklore legend, but it's really just
from that movie. Yeah. I agree. It's almost like the whole pirate thing for Treasure Island that we talked about. People just now assume, oh, well, that's what the pirate is, but it wasn't until we saw that we knew.
And then maybe Prince of Thieves was because I feel like after that one, they all have Robin Hood going to the Crusades, and then he has the Morgan Freeman help character. That basically that was Jamie Foxx and Robin Hood. I don't know if there was one in the Russell Crowe one, and I thought that one was really bad. I don't really remember it.
Yeah, the Russell Crowe one was rough. I hate the Kevin Costner one. I
know you do, but
his accent is literally, it just kills the movie for me, and it's way too long. It's like that.
Great Robin Hood, but Morgan Freeman's awesome in it. Alan Rickman.
I agree. And Alan Rickman. Great, but I don't know. I feel like so I watched that for some reason I watched it during Film Fanatics. It must have been one of Joe's picks or something. But of course, we watched The Adventures of Robin Hood, the Oscar thing, and so I'd seen the Kevin Costner version maybe within a year and a half, 2 years of the Errol Flynn version, and that was the first time I'd seen it, and I was like, man, this really blows compared to that. I admit, it's got some good side performances, but I mean, Kevin Costner was a top star at the time, huge A-lister. So he's a huge part of that movie, and the accent is just so off-putting that it ruins just about every scene of that movie for me. So here we didn't get that at all. There was no real detectable accent.
Yeah. So actors-wise, so you have Richard Todd. He plays Robin Hood. And you have Joan Rice. She plays Marion. Peter Finch plays the sheriff. and Hubert Gregg played Prince John.
This is the first time we've seen like non-Disney people. Like I didn't recognize any of these people.
No.
Like at least in Treasure Island, you had the kid from some of the other movies we'd seen. But yeah, I mean, Richard Todd, Joan Rice. I mean, these are not Disney people. Maybe they show up later in other Disney movies. I don't know.
Yeah, and then like I thought all the merry men were there. You have Little John, and that's played by James Robertson. You have Friar Tuck, who was played by James Hayter, and I did read that he played Friar Tuck again after this or before this. He played Friar Tuck before or a second time. I don't know if this was the first one. Will Scarlet is Anthony Forward, and Alan Adale is Elton Hayes.
Yeah, was that a new character? I don't think I heard that name.
Dale. I think this movie made him a character, but Alan Dale he's featured in the animated version.
Okay.
He's played by a rooster. That's Alan Dale, and he basically is a minstrel as well. But then I think I know Alan Dale I don't think was in any of the other movies, but I think he was in I watched BBC Robin Hood that was on for like 3 seasons.
Okay.
Alan Dale, I think, was a character. He wasn't a minstrel, I don't think, and there wasn't any songs, but I think they had an Alan Dale.
Okay. I recently got the TV series, the American TV series, like from the 50s, and I haven't watched it yet, but it was like real cheap on Amazon, so I wanted to check it out. But yeah, I'm curious. Because that came out probably 2 years after this. I mean, it was early television, so it was probably like 54 to 57. I will tell you that our good friend Richard Todd also is the star of The Sword and the Rose.
Okay.
And Rob Roy, which is coming up. That was from 55. So those are two coming up pretty soon for us. So this was, I guess, his first run-in with Disney, but we'll see him again.
But I thought all the acting was pretty spot on, like with the leads and the secondary characters. Todd was a charismatic Robin Hood. And I think he did all of his fighting, and I think it held up pretty well. I thought Joan Rice was a cute Marion. I thought they had great chemistry together. And then I also kind of liked that they kind of made her a strong female character. Like she took it upon herself to go into the woods and find Robin Hood. And like, so I don't think many other versions have that type of scene.
No, she's really like damsel in distress in some of the more recent ones.
Yeah. So I thought that was a good thing that they had. And the one problem I did have with the characters is I really didn't like the fact that Will Scarlet was in Scarlet. Like, he was like...
Wow, I didn't think of that.
Like, all the other guys, greens and browns, blend into the forest, and you have this one guy, Will Scarlet, who that's probably the one of the least fleshed out characters as well. Wow. It's just like, hey, Will Scarlet is part of the folklore of Robin Hood. We have to have him. How will we know that he's Will Scarlet? He'll be in Scarlet. Like,
that's funny. Like I noticed that he wasn't like the same, but it didn't occur to me his name was Scarlet, and that's him. That's funny. All right, that's a little lame, I guess.
I thought that was lame. I thought the singing? I thought the singing was okay. I like the 70s singing better than this one. I thought that was a better Alan Dale character. But I thought his songs were fun. And he was kind of a fun character. I thought Little John was fleshed out pretty well. I thought Friar Tuck was fleshed out pretty well.
Friar Tuck was one of my favorites.
Yeah. I thought he did a really good Friar Tuck. And then I thought the filming in Sherwood Forest was actually pretty worth it. I thought the wood scenes looked really well. And I thought the picture looked a lot crisper than the Treasure Island, the previous movie prior.
Yeah, I actually meant to click on Disney Plus for a few minutes and just see how the picture holds up. The picture on this DVD is okay, but definitely not as crisp as probably some of the other things. I mean, this came out in 2006, so they've probably anything they put on Disney Plus, they've probably restored for high def TVs and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, it probably looked pretty good.
It was definitely a lot better than Treasure Island.
Well, Treasure Island was also so dark.
Yeah.
Just lighting wise, this at least was more a lot of greens, a lot of bright scenery and stuff.
And then I thought the rescue in the square was kind of a little lame. It felt very staged.
Okay.
And I feel like the sheriff's men weren't really doing anything. They weren't shooting any arrows at them or anything. And then the climatic scene I thought was okay. It could have been a little bit more exciting in my opinion. But other than that, I thought the movie was good. The budget did show itself a couple times, like in the crowd scenes and stuff like that. I do know that the budget for this one compared to the Errol Flynn version was a lot smaller. I thought they did.
Yeah. The Flynn version was, I mean, that was a huge hit.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they sank a ton of money into that. That was one of the first real big Technicolor movies.
So I think they did okay for what they had. But I thought the movie was decent.
Yeah, I think I'm probably on first opinion, I'm probably a little bit lower than you, but after I read the stuff about the more subtle political stuff, I thought, all right, that's I can see how that would be pretty ahead of its time, especially for a Walt Disney film. So I thought that was pretty cool. Probably parents would get that, but it was subtle enough that the kids watching it wouldn't really know what that meant. They would just have fun with the characters. It does sort of beg the question that you and I have gone back and forth on a lot in the last few years about redoing characters that we just saw. It comes up all the time with Spider-Man and stuff like that. And I thought the same thing when the Taron Egerton Robin Hood came out. I was like, didn't we just do Robin Hood within this decade with that horrible? I mean, I agree the Russell Crowe version sucked, but still, this was only 14 years after the amazing Errol Flynn version. And not only that, but I went and there's a whole wiki page of all of the Robin Hood movies. There was another Robin Hood movie this very same year in 1952. So it was a hotly mined property back then. So I'm not sure that it was the freshest idea for Disney to do. I feel like he was mining a lot of fairy tales for the animated stuff, and for the live action things he was mining classic books, so this sort of falls in line with that. But
I really think it came down to the fact that he had to spend his money in England, and this basically just screams England. Okay, yes. Let's do Robin Hood. And then so they're like, what else can we do? Well, Rob Roy is apparently a famous Scottish guy, I guess.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so
wasn't Rob Roy that maybe I'm wrong, but I thought during the song in So Dear to My Heart, when they were talking about Christopher Columbus and they talked about a Scottish guy, was that Rob Roy or was that someone else?
Oh, it might have been. I don't know. I mean, I've heard the name Rob Roy my whole life, and I know, it's an alcoholic drink too, but
because that was I'd never heard of, and then I saw maybe it's just a similar name.
Okay. Well, either way, yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious why he chose Robin Hood, because he had to film in England, Sherwood Forest. I mean, you're right. It makes total sense, and I do agree. The scenes shot in Sherwood Forest were very cool. I mean, that could have easily been, a set or something if it was done in Hollywood. But the fact that he was there was like, let's actually go to the forest. I admit that was very cool. And I do think that this dude, the Richard Todd, does a really good Robin Hood. It's not as good as Errol Flynn's, but I would say it's the best one I've seen other than that. Certainly better, obviously, than Costner and Russell Crowe. You know, the one that came out a couple years ago was very kind of forgettable, so I don't even really remember much about that. But Jamie Foxx was my favorite part of that, as he's been in many lately. So yeah, I'd say in terms of like performance of Robin Hood, I definitely think Richard Todd is among the top tier in that regard. I agree. I like the chemistry with him and Maid Marian. It didn't really occur to me till you said it about how sort of more of a powerful woman they made her in this than some of the other iterations. But that's a great point.
And then I didn't really mention it, but I thought the Sheriff of Nottingham and both Prince John did a decent villain as well. I thought they were both.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the acting here is pretty good. Now, granted, there's no kids really, but I think we can admit the worst part of Treasure Island was that kid and his stupid face.
Yeah.
But all the adult actors, I feel like in Treasure Island were pretty solid, but they were maybe a little over the top too.
Yeah, I thought this was.
I didn't think that was the case.
I thought that was. I felt like all the secondary characters did an okay job in Treasure Island, where I thought everybody was kind of like on the same page of this one, with maybe Richard Todd doing a little bit better than everybody else. Where who was the guy that played Ben Silver? Robert Newton. Where his performance was kind of like the standout star, where I felt like everybody was kind of like on the same page, with maybe a few people slightly above each other, but I felt like it was a really good ensemble.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's definitely Robin Hood's movie, but it is a better ensemble than we've seen in probably any of the live action Disney's so far. You know, so Dear to My Heart was pretty much, you know, the kid and the dude, and then obviously Song of the South with Uncle Remus. But I wonder how much of that was because of this director too, because he had been around for a good decade, you know, directing live action movies, where I don't think the people doing some of the other Disney movies were.
That guy did Flicka. Remember, they had to get Disney wanted that guy that did Flicka, and they had to borrow him.
Yes, that's true. That's true. He did Flicka, but that still is more of like a. I mean, Treasure Flicka, like
I did think that acting as well. I mean,
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's partly due to the director here, but yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this was a fairly decent movie. It's definitely upper tier of the Robin Hood movies that are out there. I'm curious to see now the animated version in full, to see sort of what they took. Were the songs in that the same as this?
No.
Do you remember? Okay. Oh, so all new songs.
All new songs.
Because the music to me was one of the weaker parts of this movie.
Yeah, they weren't the best. I thought his character was fun, and I thought maybe his first song was probably the best song, maybe.
Yeah, they just sort of seemed shoehorned in. Like, it just seemed like Disney was like, well, people know me for my hot musicals. Let's throw in some numbers. And I don't think it was necessary, because, like, it sort of slowed down the pacing, and I don't know. And I do agree, the first like 2/3 is definitely stronger than the climax.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall this is definitely one of the better Robin Hoods, I would say. So before we grade it, I'll just say real quickly about the home video life. Like I said, there's no special features on this, which is unfortunate, because apparently shortly before the movie premiere, there was like some sort of like little, I don't know, short film or something that he had done. I forget what the name of it was. Oh, The Riddle of Robin Hood. It was like a promotional film that I guess they sent to distributors and stuff. Maybe it doesn't exist anymore, I don't know. But that would have been cool to watch on here. But But other than that, this surfaced on VHS twice in the late 80s and early 90s, on Laserdisc once. It has never been on Blu-ray. And I guess now with its presence on Disney Plus, maybe it won't be. And there was a little soundtrack album they released about 10 years later with the 4 songs on it. But that was really it. And then one interesting thing I found was in 2014, they were about to remake it. They were going to do a Pirates of the Caribbean-esque version. It was going to be called Nottingham and Hood. And I'm not sure why it was scrapped, but it just sort of went to the delete pile of Disney. But in 2014, they were hoping to build a whole new
around the Russell Crowe one, or did the Russell Crowe one come out?
That would have been, what was that? Maybe 2011? I feel like Russell Crowe's would have come and gone by then. Let me see here. Yeah, that was 2010. So
okay. Well,
after that horrible thing. Kate Blanchett was in that too. Well, there's another reason. But yeah, so I don't know. It might have been interesting. Well, at that time, you got to figure if they were trying to play off the Pirates of the Caribbean, that series was certainly winding down by 2014.
Yeah.
So, trying to replace it maybe with that. It might have been interesting, but for whatever reason, I guess because they're, well, I was going to say they were scrapping it because they were starting their live action remakes, but I mean, that could be considered a live action remake because it would probably be more based on the animated one than anything else. But yeah, that's all I really have on this movie's background. Let's grade it, Tim. What do you think?
I probably would. I think I gave Treasure Island a B. And I probably would put this right there as a B.
Okay. Yeah, I was definitely thinking in that sort of B range, maybe B plus. Just because it is one of the better versions I've seen. I don't think, other than the A plus I gave the original, I don't know if I've ever given any of them a positive grade.
Yeah.
What was that?
If I was skewing it for the times that it came out, maybe I would give it a B plus. But for the viewer today, I think they would get a B value entertainment out of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to put it. Yeah, like definitely when I read the stuff about the commentary on the Cold War, I thought, well, that probably would be a B plus for the era. But yeah, I think you're right. Probably somebody watching it today would think B, I think would be pretty solid. I'm trying to look at my 2018 scores to see what I gave Robin Hood. A C. Okay, so I've never given any of them except for the Errol Flynn one above a C. So this one definitely is.
The 2018 one was pretty bad.
But not as bad as Russell Crowe. I think we can all admit that.
Yeah. I mean, you probably would, Men in Tights, did you like Men in Tights?
Oh, I guess, yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know if I've ever seen Men in Tights in full. I know it was on when I was a kid a lot, like on TV. I'm not sure if I've ever seen the full version of that, though.
But the thing about Men in Tights is it's such a spoof off of Prince of Thieves.
The Costner one, right. Which Prince of Thieves is so rife for spoof because it stinks. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure Men in Tights is probably a positive grade as well. But in terms of the straight-ahead, non-comedic Robin Hoods, I'd say this one is probably a B, maybe a B plus for the era.
Yeah.
But, all right, so up next for us, we have The Sword and the Rose, which is that's not on Disney Plus, right? All right, so I'll have to.
The next few movies that we have on this list are not going to be on Disney Plus until we get to Baby Crockett I think is the next one.
That would make sense. When I was going to try and find that documentary, originally we were going to be like, oh, we don't care really about the documentaries, but it was nominated for an Oscar, so.
I think it won.
It win?
Won Best Documentary.
So, all right. So we should look for that one. That's in like 2 or 3, I think. But yes, you're right. What you said earlier. The next one for me on Dan Does Disney will be Peter Pan with Joe. We'll probably hit that next week, and then you and I will be back for the Great Sword and the Rose.
Yep.
After that. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining, Tim, and we'll see you next time. Bye.